Hello friends, in today's session we are going to discuss about exception handling using Java. The entire session is dedicated related to the exceptions. First of all, we need to understand what is exception. What is an exception? To define an exception, we can say that it's a runtime logical bug. It's a runtime logical bug occurred during program execution. Now we need to firstly understand this terminology. What is exception means? It's a runtime logical bug, right? It's a runtime logical bug, means it has to nothing to do with the syntax error which occurring at the time of compilations. Means after successfully compilation of the code, when you try to execute it, try to run it, and that time if any logical bug occurred, and that logical bug is actually termed as an exception, right? It's basically it's a human error. It's a human or developers logical error, right? Means many times we were not able to track the errors in the code over there. That errors had nothing to do with the syntax and semantics, and logical bugs will be occurred. I will be discussing the examples what exactly exceptions means. Means like basically if you are thinking that okay, exceptions means the errors. No, actually errors are of two types of it. One is syntax, right? It's a grammatical error. For example, if you write the syntax not properly, means like statement missing semicolon, that is your syntax error. At the same time, if you write like basically the syntax is int a, right? But if you this is correct one, but if you write a integer, right, then it's a wrong. So this statement is called as a syntax error, and this syntax error actually debugged by the compiler itself. Means if you write the error, if you develop if there is any syntax error in the code, means that code will not be compiled. So that can be handled by only the compiler. I am not referring to that. Your exception is different. So errors can be of two types, syntax and semantic. Now semantic means actually type errors, right? Means like sometimes syntax looks perfect over there, syntax is clear, okay, but because of some spaces, because of some type errors, right, override of something, that errors are called as semantic errors. For example, let us say it's like I am saying integer e is the correct syntax over here, right, but there has to be the space between the int and a, and if you don't have a space, and by like, let's assume that statement become int a something, you know, so this is wrong again. But what type wrong statement? But what type of statement is considered category? It's called as semantic error. It's a type error. It's not a syntax error. Syntax error means where the grammar is wrong, right? Because like we know that first of all data type and then the variable required. But if you write variable firstly and then data type, so it's a wrong syntax. But semantic means if you have a like as while typing or while writing the syntaxes, if there is any type error develop that is called as semantic errors. But these all the syntax and semantic errors are handled by compiler, right? The syntax and semantic errors will be handled by the compiler, means at a time of compilation it will cross check every syntaxes and semantic errors, and if there is any, then it will not allow to compile. So it means we are not supposed to worry about the syntax and semantic errors. But what about the logical bug formed during execution of it? Execution of code. For example, let's understand int a equals to 5 and int b equals to 0. Right? Now there is no syntax errors. But if you try to make it int c equals to a by b, we all know that you cannot, denominator never be 0. Never be 0 in division. So in such situations it will throw an exception. Exceptions means abrupt termination because of exception raised. Right? Now here obvious, while writing the code you may not initialize denominator with a 0 over there, but sometimes what happened, like let's say you don't have the values of a and b, and you might be asking user to enter the value, or that process data of a and b will be passed on to the expression. And anyway, after going through the exceptions, the value of b becomes 0, because I am saying here we are deliberately initializing the values of a and b, right? So obviously, if you are trying to process the statements, then you will not be able to make some mistakes. But if the data get processed and after the value of denominator becomes 0, so what I am discussing, deliberately we may not put the denominator as 0, but after some processing, after inputting data, after some process, if the denominator becomes 0, so it develops runtime exceptions, and abrupt termination of code will be there. These abrupt terminations, right? This abrupt termination will lead to the system crash, right? Or any worst thing can happen, because your code is abruptly terminated, and due to that the severe damage will be occurred to the system, occurred to the code. Your operating system may get lost, your code will be get lost, your entire efforts of developing products will be lost over there. So because of the abrupt terminations over there, so we need to understand the exception handling techniques. Due to which, by using that abrupt termination, we can like avoid it and convert to the normal termination, right? Or we can avoid that exceptions. And this technique is called as exception handling, right? So in exception handling, there are these three terms we are to use: try, catch, throw, and finally. These are the basic terms we have to use in exception handling. Try means it's a block of code in which we have to write a code, right? And catch means if any exceptions raised, then it has to be trapped by this block, right? Now this try block will test for the exceptions, and catch block will catch that exceptions, and throw will actually it throws an exception conditionally. I'll explain this conditionally out of try block. What this throw will do? Throw is a keyword, or throw will be throw the exceptions conditionally out of the try block, and finally means it's like it's a last process, final process. It's like if any exceptions occurred, or if not occurred also, but what will the final steps? That like closing the open files, right? Closing the database, right? Saving all the updates, before terminations, and all this like final task which you need to perform to have a safer coding or secured coding over there. So these kind of syntaxes or this kind of code you are writing the finally block over there, right? So while handling the exceptions, 4 major blocks we need to understand. There is a try block. This block is actually where we have to write the code to test for the exceptions. And if any exceptions, now what we understand about the exception handling, to convert that abnormal terminations, if any logical bug occurred at the runtime, right, then system crash will be there, worse damage will be happen to the systems. To avoid that abnormal terminations, now they recommend to go with the exception handling techniques. Exception handling techniques recommends the try block. Now in this try block you have to write that code which is supposed to generate the exceptions, and catch block will catch that exceptions, right? So like which will be thrown over there. Throw is actually used to throw that exceptions or the logical bugs conditionally out of the try block, and finally means while performing the last process like closing the file, closing the database, saving the updates, and then terminate. Means like as I said, the final purpose of exception handling is like avoid that abrupt terminations, and so the worst damage will be occurred to the systems. To avoid that abrupt terminations and convert that abrupt termination to the normal terminations, right? And that is what the purpose of the exception handling. Okay, let us discuss these things again by example. Like as I said, it will while handling the exception, it provides with a block called as try catch block. Right here, you have to write the code for trapping exceptions, and once the exception is raised, that exceptions can be catch over here. So that object of exceptions, you have to like here it will create the anonymous object of exceptions, and that anonymous object will be thrown out of the try block, and it has to be cached over here. And then here you have to prompt the user regarding the exceptions. Prompt the user regarding exception. And then, as I said, if you want to write a finally block, finally what you have to perform, that you have to write the final task you have to write over here, right? Now let us discuss this by example. I'm referring to some examples of it. Now here is example 1, where we have the two numbers are defined actually, and we suspect that okay, while performing the arithmetics or numerator or denominator, here num1 and num2, these are the variables, and num1 equal to 0 and num2 equals to 62 by num1, let's say, means like we deliberately try to put that denominator as a 0, right? So in such situation, if you try to print the value of num2, obviously this statement is going to raise then exceptions, and that exception is called as divide by 0 exceptions. So, or in other words, it's coming under the category of arithmetic exceptions. So it will develop an object of arithmetic exceptions, and through that object or try block, and this catch block will catch that exceptions, that object of that arithmetic exceptions E will get initialized with the object, and then here you can print that what exceptions actually occurs. And if that exception is not coming under the category of arithmetic exception, then it will be handled by the general exceptions over there. Means like one try you may have a multiple catch. Why multiple catch required? Because you may have a more than one exceptions can be raised at a time over there, because arithmetic exceptions can be this catch block is capable of handling only arithmetic exceptions, and your exceptions can be this catch block can handle any generic exceptions over there. So in this manner, what the benefits I get over here, that whenever if in my code, if any arithmetic exceptions or the divide by 0 exception occurs, I able to means like instead of processing that entire block over there, once the exception occurred, that particular object will be thrown out of the try block, right? And then user will be prompted what the error occurred, and it will come to the normal terminations. Means like the motive behind exception handling is to avoid that abnormal terminations, because here in this case, if you not put in the try catch block, what will happen? It will try to process this and all the rest blocks over there, and it leads to the abnormal terminations, and hence severe damage to the system can be occurred. Here in this case, once you got that exceptions, it will not be processed further. It will be thrown out of the try block, and catch block will catch it, process that exceptions, prompt the user, and then terminate the applications over there. This is what the better example of exception handling. Now discuss one another example where, as I said, we have a one try block, one catch block, but one catch block can handle only one specific exceptions, right? But like means that's why in one block of a code there may be chances of having more than one exception. So to trap that specific exceptions, we may have a multiple catch blocks. Let's discuss by this example. Here in this case, we have an array. We declared an array over here. Array means set of similar type of data. So here int a is an array of size 7 size, and a of 4 means like the subscript number 4 of a is again divided by 0. Means probably in this particular code, you may it may generate the two exceptions. One is array index out of bounds, probably because we are dealing with an array, and the second one is divided by 0 also. Means if your code is capable of generating more than one type of exceptions, then obviously you need to handle them clearly. You should have a multiple catch blocks over there. So first catch block is responsible for arithmetic exceptions like divide by 0 exceptions. Means imagine if you have an array and you refer the array subscript beyond the limit or beyond the index range over there, so it will develop the exception array index out of bounds. But here in this code, there may be chances of two exceptions will be raised. One is array index out of bound, and second is divided by 0. So if it is divided by 0 or any arithmetic exception occurred, it will be trapped by the arithmetic exceptions, and if it is array index out of bound, then it will be trapped by the array index out of bound. And if apart from arithmetic exceptions or array index out of bound exceptions, if any exceptions occur, that will be trapped by the like exception block over there. So here we need to understand one point. What is that arithmetic exception? It's a class which is predefined in the Java, right? for handling the arithmetic exceptions. Array index out of bounds exceptions. This is the class which is predefined in the exception class. Means actually they wrote a hierarchy of the exceptions. They define the exception class, and then we have a array index out of bounds to handle the exceptions related to the array index, and this is about the arithmetic exceptions over there. So one try block, right? Inside that code, it may consist the statements which may leads towards the like many exceptions can be raised. So in such situations, to handle all the exceptions, one try block may have the multiple catch blocks as well, right? Now I am going to discuss with you that now here up till now what we discussed, one try block, multiple catch blocks. But you may have a nested try as well, means outer try as well as you have inner try, you have another try over there, right? So in such situations, like first of all your main try means like outer try, your inner try, and then the innermost one. So first of all, the catch block, what you defined, that innermost block will handle that exceptions over there, right? Because what I am trying to explain you that you may have nesting of try within try. Means you have an outer try, you have an inner try, you have innermost try, right? So obviously every try block will follow by the catch block exceptions over there, right? So first of all, the control goes from the outer to inner to innermost. So whatever the exceptions raised by the innermost will be handled by the catch block of a innermost over there, right? But if the advantage what we get in the nested try block, that if the innermost block catch block is not handling the exceptions, that can be passed on to the inner one, and the inner block's exception can be passed on to the outer one over there. So there may be situations that you have a nesting of try block, you have there is called a try within try, and you can develop this catch block is handling the first catch block will handle the innermost block exceptions, then the inner, and then the outer one over there, right? Let us discuss this by an example. Now here in this case we have a nesting demo, and we have a try, outer try, innermost try, and in the innermost try we are dealing with an array, and hence now what is the problem, that in the innermost array we are dealing with an innermost block, we are dealing with an array, and our exception is trapping arithmetic exceptions. So it means let's understand that my innermost block, catch block, is not capable of handling this particular exception. Then it will be transferred to the outer one. Now your inner block also not able to handle the exception, because it is also handling the arithmetic exceptions. Then it will be passed on to the outermost block, and then outermost block may be capable of handling the exceptions over there, right? So there may be chances that you have a try within try. In such situations, like now this try block is capable of handling different exceptions, this inner block is capable of handling different exceptions, and innermost is capable of handling different exceptions. In such situations, if the exceptions raised in the innermost block will not handle, then it will be passed on to the catch block of inner, and if it is not handled, then it will be catched to the main block over there. In this manner, exceptions in the nested try block can be handled over there. So up till now we had a discussions regarding the elementary discussion about the exception handling. What is exception? Exceptions means runtime logical bug, and while handling runtime logical bug we have a mechanism of try, catch, finally, right? And we discuss about the throw even, but like I am going to demonstrate you the various example of throws. So firstly the block of try, catch, finally is capable of handling the exceptions. First of all, we need to understand that it's a better coding standards, because if you are developing the projects and that time if you not handle the exceptions, or if it unhandled exceptions remains over there, then suddenly your it may develop abrupt terminations and crash of the system, or any bursting can be happened over there. So while dealing with the projects as a safer coding or secured coding or good programming practice, one can say, we should learn the art of exception handling over there. So you need to that error, that code which you think that okay, there may be probable any exceptions can be raised, and because of that any severe damage can be occurred to the systems. You need to put a try block. So your Java runtime environment will test all the syntaxes, they test all the code before actually executing, and if any bug occurred over there, then instead of processing further, it will create an anonymous object of the particular exceptions and throw out of the try block. And the catch block adjacent to the try block will catch that exceptions and avoid that abnormal termination to the normal one. These are the basic things what we need to learn about the basic exception handling.